Hi, it's August 2023. I've just arrived in Ivybridge on the southern edge of Dartmoor, and I'm going to spend 3 days hiking across Dartmoor to Okehampton on the northern edge. So the route I'm taking is about 36 miles long. I think the shortest route from Ivybridge train station to Okehampton train station is about 30 miles, but there's a lot I want to see on the route. So I'm heading for a railway bridge now, where the Two Moors Way across Dartmoor starts, and so the first part of the walk I'll be following the Two Moors Way, and then the first place I'll be stopping at is Butterton Hill, which is a hill on the southern edge of Dartmoor. I hope to get some really nice views of the South Devon countryside. Just arrived on the Two Moors Way, so I'll be following that for this morning. So it's a bit grey at the moment, but I think the weather's clearing up this afternoon, and next couple of days it's going to be quite nice. So I'm hoping that when I get up to Butterton Hill it'll be a bit brighter. It's about a 20-minute walk from here, I think. So one of the attractions about Dartmoor is that it's got one of the highest concentrations of prehistoric remains in the country, if not all of Northern Europe. So there's a lot of prehistoric stone rows, stone circles and other such monuments like that. They're about 4,000 or 5,000 years old. And at the top of Butterton Hill there's the start of I think it's early Bronze Age stone row. It's quite a long one. It goes on about 1¼ miles. So I'll be following that towards Piles Hill. Fog is starting to clear a bit, but it's still quite breezy. There's Ivybridge just down there. So about another 5-minute walk and I'll be up on Butterton Hill. I've just arrived at Butterton Hill. Unfortunately, I can't see where the stone row is. I know it goes in a northerly direction, so I'm hoping to pick it up as I continue northwards. That's the view to the south of here. I'm heading down to Hanger Shell Rock, and from there I'm going down onto the old tramway track which the Two Moors Way follows up into the north of Dartmoor. So I hope to pick up the stone row en route to Piles Hill. I've found the stone row which goes from Butterton Hill up to Piles Hill. So this stone row is about 2 kilometres or about 1.25 miles long. And of course it's very difficult to say when a lot of the prehistoric monuments were built on Dartmoor. I think it's a safe bet to say that a lot of it was constructed between, well, in the 3rd millennium BC. So they're about 4,000 to 5,000 years old. So that would be kind of the late Neolithic age, and then leading into the early to mid Bronze Age. So the stone rows could be about 4,000 years old. But when I get to Piles Hill, I hope to see a bit more of it up there. This track I'm following, it used to be an old tramway. About 100 years ago there used to be a China clay quarry just to the north of here called Red Lake China Clay Works, and there used to be a tram coming down here, so they used to transport all the China clay down to Bitterford, which is just quite close to Ivybridge, and then they would put it on the trains. But nowadays it makes a very useful track up to the centre of Dartmoor. I've just arrived at Piles Hill. I'm not sure if this stone is the terminal stone of the the stone row, so this marks the end of it, or if there might be another stone further up on the hill. It's very difficult to find, but there's a much better example of a stone row at Merivale near Princetown, which I visited a couple of years ago. But it's a mystery why they built the stone rows across Dartmoor. Quite often there's like a burial chamber, like a cairn or a kist at the end or in the middle of the stone row. So maybe it was used as like a funeral procession, like a ritual or something like that. But the historians aren't exactly sure why they built these stone rows. But there's one further north of here. It's the longest one in the country. I think it's about just over 2 miles long. That's Stallmore Stone Row, but that's too far away. But anyway, I'm going to continue along the track now until I get to the Two Moors Way marker stone. I've just arrived at the Two Moors Way marker stone, and this is quite a familiar place because I was here about 3 or 4 years ago. I did the Abbot's Way, which goes from Tavistock on the west side of Dartmoor over to Buckfast Abbey on the east side of Dartmoor, and it's at this point where the Abbot's Way and the Two Moors Way share the same route for a couple of miles. So I'm now going to follow the footpath towards Huntington Cross. Just arrived at Huntington Cross, where I'm going to have a small break. I read one website about Dartmoor. It says that on Dartmoor there's about 110 granite stone crosses, and I thought, wow, that's quite a lot. But there are quite a lot of stone crosses on Dartmoor, so maybe there is that number. But they go back hundreds of years. Back in medieval times, there was 3 abbeys on the edge of Dartmoor, which was Tavistock Abbey, and Buckland Abbey and Buckfast Abbey. Unfortunately, Tavistock Abbey that was demolished during the dissolution of the monasteries in the 16th century, but the other 2 abbeys are still there. And the monks would walk across Dartmoor from one abbey to the other, and I think a lot of these stone crosses, these would have been the way markers, so they would have followed these crosses across the moors. I'm heading up to another cross. It's a much larger one called Horns Cross to the north of here, and that's where I'll be camping tonight, somewhere in that area. So I'm just going to have a small rest and then head northwards. So my next landmark is Pooper's Hill. Just arrived at Pooper's Hill. I don't know why it's called that. I just hope nobody takes it literally. But some really nice views again, overlooking South Devon. And from here it's just a short walk northwest towards Riders Hill. Wow, that walk up to Riders Hill was really boggy. I don't think I'll go that way again. So after here I'm heading down to, well, I hope to go down to Horns Cross, but I don't, because it's quite boggy, I don't know whether to head for my camping spot, because there's a river called the Oak Brook, and I want to camp on the west side and Horns Cross is on the east side, so it might be a better idea just to head down to where I'm planning to camp tonight. So this is Riders Hill. This is a trig point. There's two stones here. One of them is called Petra's Bound Stone, and it marks the boundary of 3 civil parishes: Dartmoor, Forest, Hull and Buckfast Lee. Seems to be a pretty good path going down to Horns Cross, so I think I'm going to go this way. Just arrived at Horns Cross. Now I was reading a website about Dartmoor. It says this cross dates back to the 14th century, and this marks another route which monks would have taken when they walked from Tavistock to Buckfast Abbey. And this is like a more northerly route than the Abbot's Way. So my plan now is I'm hoping to find a camping spot down by the river. Now on Dartmoor, wild camping is allowed, but only in certain areas. So I think just to the east of Horns Cross, I think that's a no-go area for wild camping. But fortunately, between the cross and the river, it is okay to wild camp. So I would like to go on the other side because there's some disused mine workings, and I think there might be a nice flat spot there. But if not, I might have to stay on this side of the river for tonight. Well, crossing the valley was a little bit tricky, but I managed to get here in the end. So I've just found the track on the other side of the river, which I hope to find a good spot somewhere along here. And just here there's another granite cross, so I guess I'm still on the monk's route. I'm not sure what the name of this cross is. It might be called Horseford Cross, because just down in the valley it's called Horseford, so it could be called that name. So I guess I'm still on the monk's route. I'm just going to have a little rest now. It's getting quite warm actually, and then I just want to find a small flat spot, because I've got quite a small tent, so I can just put it up anywhere. I've just arrived at a disused mine, or I think it's an old clay works. It's called Houghton Wheels, and I found a nice spot to put up my tent. It's quite sheltered, it's quite flat. Unfortunately the ground's a bit rocky. It's difficult putting the pegs in, so the tent's not put up perfectly. But one of the reasons I decided to go on a little hike is I want to try out this tent. This is the Jack Wolfskin Gossamer, and it's a bit smaller and heavier than the tents I'm usually used to. But this is an ideal storm tent, and a lot of YouTubers recommend this because I use very lightweight, ultra lightweight tents in the summer, which are great in the summer, but in the winter when it's a bit stormy they sort of flap about a bit. So I'm just trying out this tent and see how I get on this over the next couple of days. So I'm just going to settle down now and watch the sun go down. So until tomorrow morning, good night. Oh, that's a nice sunrise to start the day. It's a little bit misty at the moment, but I think it's going to be quite a nice day today. So now I'm just going to pack everything up, and then I'm following the track from the old mine down to Hexworthy. So the first part of the day should be quite a easy walk. Right, so that's everything packed, so time to head down to Hexworthy. So the Jack Wolfskin Gossamer, a lot of YouTubers say it's one of the most windproof and waterproof tents on the market. And there's some things I like about it, some things I don't like about it. I would say if I was doing a 3-day hike over the Cairngorms in November, I would definitely take one of these. But if I was doing a multi-week journey, like if I did Land's End to John O'Groats again, I think I want something a little bit more luxurious and spacious. But I might actually do short review on it. I like the idea of this winter, if there is a really bad storm coming in, is to come up on Dartmoor one night and go somewhere like High Willowes, which is I think that's the highest point in the southwest, and just put it up one night and give it a really good storm test. That would be quite fun. So I'm just going to head down to the stream and get some water, and then head onwards. I'm going up to Belvoir Tor after Hexworthy, so I hope to get some nice views up there. Just arrived at Hexworthy. It's a very small place, this. I think it's just a pub and about half a dozen houses. But for the next couple of miles, I think I'm just following the road for a little bit now. So I'm just leaving Hexworthy along a footpath called the Dartmoor Way. And this goes up to the B road that goes across Dartmoor. And then from the B road, I'll be heading up to my first tour of the day. Now I'm not sure what the tour is called. It's spelt Laughter Tour, but I'm not sure if it's pronounced Laughter Tour or Louter Tour. But I'm heading up there now, and then from there I'll be heading up to Belvoir Tor. Just approaching the Tor, I read that close to the Tor there used to be a Bronze Age stone row, but I think it's gone now. But there's still the terminal stone is standing. I think it's the big stone just ahead, so I'm just going up there now. So I think this stone might date back to the Bronze Age. There's the Tor just up there. Some nice views of where I've just come. So I'm just going to head up to the Tor and have a little 10-minute break, and then carry on to Belvoir Tor. Got here just in time, and lots of low cloud coming in. Some nice views over to the east, I think. I'm just going to have a short break up here, and then hopefully this low cloud will pass overhead. Then I'm going to continue on to Belvoir Tor. Weather's cleared up nicely again. I'm just approaching Belvoir Tor. It's a very prominent tor, so I've read that there's some really nice views up here. From here I can see where I'm going next. Just on the other side of the road there's a group of old ruined buildings called the powder mills, I think. It's a lot of ruined it's a ruined gunpowder factory that they used to use in the 19th century, so I'll be heading down to there. And then I think it's Longford Tor, but after that I'm going up to I think it's Longford Tor, then to Higher White Tor, which is just over there on the horizon. Here's some of the Dartmoor ponies. Just arrived at the road, so I'm quite close to the powder mills now. So I'm just going to have a little 10-minute rest here, and then it's about 1 kilometre to the gunpowder factory. I've just arrived at the old powder mills, and this is where they used to manufacture gunpowder. Is around the middle of the 19th century, I think. And I thought that they would have made gunpowder here for military purposes, but I had a look on a website, and apparently it was actually used for the local mines. They used the gunpowder for blasting the granite. There's an information board. I'll just have a look at this. Yeah, it says here that different grades of gunpowder were produced and were much in demand from the Royal Navy, surrounding tin and copper mines and the nearby quarries. So from here I can see the next part of my walk. I'm heading up to Longford Tor, just up there, and then over to Higher White Tor, and then from there I'll be heading down to the East Dart waterfalls, which should be quite picturesque.